Let's dive into creating a server component in Next.js. Start by making a new file with a Server.js extension, like Server.js. This special extension is our little secret handshake with Next.js, letting it know to keep this component on the server side. Inside, we craft a warm welcome message using React. And just like that, greeting becomes a server-rendered component, capable of personalizing content before it reaches the user. Isn't that neat? In the world of server components, we have a superhero ability to fetch data directly on the server. Picture this. We're using a special component that calls an API asynchronously, snatching the data without bothering the client side. It's all happening within our server data fetcher component, where suspense wraps around our data fetching logic. And once the data is in our grasp, we elegantly display it, item by item, like a magician revealing cards in a trick. And if the data is taking its sweet time, a simple loading keeps our audience in suspense. In this demo, we dive into Next.js server components and caching. By using Create Cache, we set up a cache to store our content. It checks if the content's available using cache key, saving us from redundant database queries. If the content is not cached, the fetch data method fetches it, and then it's stored for next time. Finally, JSON data serves our content swiftly, resulting in a faster, more efficient application that's gentle on server resources. In Scene 4, we're diving into how a server component expertly combines with client components. The server component, tasked with server-side rendering, passes data along without using any hooks or client-only features, ensuring everything stays in tip-top shape for efficient rendering. Meanwhile, the client component, living in the browser, embraces hooks and all the browser-specific perks to bring dynamic features to life for end users. It's all about playing to the strengths of both server and client environments. Imagine we've got a secret key that's like the password to a hidden treasure, but it's so important that we don't want just anyone to find it, especially not by accident. That's why, in this code, we're using server components that act like a locked door, allowing us to securely use that secret. Look here. We've got server props that hold our secret underscore key, snugly fetched from environment variables, and there only for the server's eyes. Just remember, if we were to put this key in client components, it would be like leaving our treasure map in the open, something we definitely want to avoid. Imagine you're using a heavy-duty library for data processing, but you don't want to load it on the client side to keep the app light and fast. By importing server only in your Next.js component and running the library's computation on the server, you're ensuring that none of that weight ends up slowing down the user's experience. This setup also significantly trims down the client-side bundle size. Now, when the component mounts, the hard work is already done, and the data is ready to go. In the realm of server components, we've got a nifty feature called streaming. Imagine you're patiently waiting for your browser to show you a huge list of items. Instead of a blank screen, what if you could see each item pop up one by one, as they're ready? That's exactly what's happening here with our server component. We use useServerResponse to start dishing out content right away, serving you bite-sized chunks efficiently, so you can start reading without the wait. It's like getting your appetizer while the chef's still cooking the main course. In server components, unexpected errors can derail our apps, but we've got a safety net: error boundaries. By wrapping our MyServer component in an error boundary component with a custom error fallback, we ensure that when code goes haywire, users see a friendly error message instead of a confusing crash. It's like having a graceful safety parachute for our server-rendered views, keeping client experiences smooth and error-free. When building server components in Next.js, it's vital to fetch just the right amount of data. Here, we're getting full product info on the server, ensuring initial render is rich and quick. Yet, for product reviews, a client component defers loading until it mounts, preventing data overfetching. This split approach makes the app snappy but also saves resources, balancing server rendering benefits and client dynamism for optimal performance. Let's deploy a Next.js app with server components. Here's our server component, where we log requests for great observability. Every time it renders, we log it to track server-side behavior. Super useful for debugging, right? Now, Just deploy using Vercel or push changes to your GitHub repo linked with Vercel. And voila, your app is live with logging enabled.